Welcome all, Raymond for Stream Gamers. Today we're going to do a bit of an update video on SDK from 2020 to 2024. Most of it is the same. There's a few unique things. What you see on the screen is your left hand side is the default airport of Charlie Kilo Kilo 7 or CKK7. The airport you see on the right hand side is an updated airport with self-created assets and hangars and terminal and all that kind of stuff. So I've made all that in Blender. I have Blender videos out there that explain how to do this. It's not to show you how to do that. It's to show you how to create a simple airport using SDK created assets as well as using your own created assets and get them in, right? And so you're going to see there's a number of different things you're going to see along the way. This may be a continuing series to kind of build this up and get it completely done. This part of the series is just to show you some basic stuff so you can get started again. Okay. All right. Let's get rid of that. Let's go in. We're here at the airport, as you can see. If we hit the escape key and we click on the settings window or the settings, and we go to general, we go to advanced options. You turn on the developer mode there, and I've got mine already turned on. As you can see up there, I've got my little menu bar there. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is some of the directory structures and that kind of stuff. I find it really important. As you build more of these airports around the world, you will very quickly find yourself with a folder that looks similar to this, or a folder structure that just, it's difficult to make sense of it, right? Where everything is. And I have some of that. I've been curtailing it and getting it closer. So, you know, if I want to create an airport in the US and I don't have the state, then I make a folder with the state. But in this case, I have that folder, that airport. Arkansas has got that one. Florida's got that one. Likewise, in Canada, I've got these various different projects, and in Manitoba, those are all of the airports in which I've created in Manitoba. So I find it useful to do this because it allows me to navigate quickly, and I have some rhyme and reason as to what I'm doing. We're going to create an airport, and we're going to put that into this location, and this is the location which we're going to work out of. This is my tutorial folder 2020, or 2024, that is, okay? And we're going to collect assets from the already created airport that you saw in the picture. We're going to collect those assets from here. We're going to move that aside. We're going to go up to File, New. We're going to call this airport Simple. What are we going to call this? Simple Airport. CKK7. Okay, that's what we're going to call it. We're going to change the directory. Where do we want to save that? And this is the importance why it's important to have some kind of structure as you go in here and you say, well, where did I put that? Where did I put this? Where did I put that? Well, in my case, I know it's in here. I know it's under the tutorials. I know it's under 2024. This is where it's going to be. That's where we're going to save this. Creator and company, your choice. Do whatever you like there. That's what I've got for mine. But next, we're going to create a package. Next, we're going to create an airport. This time, we're going to call this airport Simple Airport CKK7. Ordinarily, if I'm creating an airport, I'm going to put the ICO code followed by the actual name of the airport. So normally here I would put in CKK7 space Harv's Airport, because that's what this airport is called, or Steinbach South. Okay, but so you get the point, hopefully. It knows that this airport exists already, right? And so it's picked to override it. There's the ICO code. If you say, no, I actually want to override a different airport in the area, there isn't one, but if you didn't know, then you could go click on that. Or let's say you wanted to create an airport just somewhere where there is no airport, then you would click on create this, and you would assign your own ICO code to that newly created airport, okay? But in this case, we're going to keep it like this. Create the airport. The airport is now, if we look in our directory here, we can see now that airport is created. There it is. And that's the base package of it. And that's going to grow. But that's the airport now created within that directory. Back in the day when we did 2020 SDK, very early on, you had to create these directory structures because the SDK wouldn't create them for you. Or at least I didn't believe it would. So I ended up having to do this creation myself. I'm going to get rid of that because it's distracting for me. Anyways, here we are. We have various different windows open, and these windows are going to change and grow and shrink as we go through the process. If you don't know where they are, under here, editors, this is where you get your material editor and scenery editor and project editor and so forth. This is the project editor, and we'll get it loaded into we'll get ourselves all the way in. We're going to go down here. We're going to click on this. I recommend being on clear skies, bright and sunny, so you're not distracted by shadows and or time of day, darkness, and all that good stuff. Okay, but so it's whatever you're comfortable with. But that's how I do it. When we did that process, it put us into the developer camera mode. Okay, so I use the arrow keys, not the numlock or not the number pad arrow keys, but the arrow keys beside it. I use those keys to rotate, look down, look up. I use the ASDW keys to move around, and so through the manipulation of both those windows, we can move yourselves around and get yourself to where you want. The mouse scroll button scrolls you out, scrolls you in. Okay, so that's what it is. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of these existing buildings because we don't like these buildings here. And we do that by coming into this window here, and we click on Objects, Scenery. We're looking for Polygon. One place click Add. You see now on the cursor you get that little red plus sign. So I'm going to click. You hold the control key, click. Click. Don't worry about getting this too precise because this can be changed. This polygon is being used to get rid of structures, and when you get to your last one, holding the control key down, double click, it locks it in. Now notice I went around these structures because I want to keep those structures. I'm okay with those structures being there. Okay, if your mouse happens to disappear, which mine at times does, the solution to that problem I found is moving your cursor to a different monitor, and clicking on a different monitor so you can see your cursor coming back, and making sure you click on this window, whether it be the project editor or whether it's the scenery window, but click on that window and it will come back. I think that's a bug, or maybe it's how I'm using the SDK, but it disappears on me on a semi-regular basis. So bear with me as we go through that. Okay, so here we are. We've got our polygon set up. The reason why we have that polygon set up is we want to go to properties. Now, you can get to properties. Oops, sorry. Let me go back into project editor. Which one is it? Is it the scenery editor? Just bear with me. It is the scenery editor. And you can turn on properties, gizmo. These are the things you're going to need to have: objects, property, and gizmo. Those are the most important ones. That's what I've got over here. Okay, plus the project editor, which is over here as well. Why do I got two project editors? That's bizarre. Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's not get distracted. Okay, we've got the excuse me, we've got the polygon selected right there. We want to get rid of these buildings, and the way we do that is we can go click here and we can kind of customize the buildings we want, but in this case we just want them all gone, and there they go, they're gone. The next thing we want is we want to deal with some of the trees, and I also want to be able to have a bit of an opening and clearing in here as well, because I'm planning to put a hanger here. So with the polygon selected, put your cursor near that magenta line, right click, add a point, right click, add a point, right click, add a point, and right click, add a point. We need 4 points because I'm going to move this. You can free move it by dragging this around, or you can just move it in this plane or in this plane. And I choose to do this in these planes. Put that around there somewhere. That's going to be my first one. I'm going to put this one around here somewhere. Then I'm going to take this one, and if you watch what I'm doing, you'll see it'll be relatively clear shortly. I'm going to kind of make that perpendicular. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm going to take this point now and I'm going to drag it here. Now, all of these things can be done by just dragging this around freely. Each to their own. For me, I like to have things a little more straight lines, perpendicular parallels, and all that kind of stuff. But your choice. So the trees are still here. Okay, so we'll close this menu off. We're going to go to vegetation right here. Click on vegetation. You're going to see a bunch of vegetation grow there. Don't get distracted by that. Don't get worried about that. Under vegetation scale, if you draw that down to 0, all the vegetation in those areas is now gone. So anything inside, that's an interesting, maybe I'm looking at that. Now I say they're all gone, but yet there's one tree right there. Isn't that interesting? In order to deal with that, we'll just drag this up here. We'll maybe drag that over here, and we'll try to get it to be encompassed maybe, and it's not. So I wonder what that tree's about. Why is that one tree? Oh, this is a good point. So you see where the green line is? Oh, it's just leg. But you see where the green line is, and you see where the magenta line is, and they're not lined up. So the reason why I do this is you can see now all of a sudden it's now square, right? And I can see why it's not disappearing. This is not pulled back far enough. So if I were to click on this here again and drag that down here, and then drag this one down there and line up the red line with the magenta, that'll make it square, and that will get rid of that thing. I also want to make that maybe a little further out there, and I'm being a little particular, maybe a little picky, but I know what the project's going to look like later on, and I'm going to do the work now. Okay, hanger's gone. Now, if you just simply wanted to put some existing assets within the SDK in 2024 SDK, you can easily do that if you click on the objects menu, which can be acquired from let's get it right, which can be acquired from right here under the scenery editor. You can get the object. You get the scenery editor from here. Okay, but objects, and you go to scenery. And so here we have all these different scenery assets that are within this package. You can click on here and you've got a lot more scenery assets. So if you're happy to have this as your building, you could just simply click that, put one place, click on, click that, put it down, and you got your building. And that's it. Now you're done. You want to move that around and rotate that and make that look square or whatever, however you want. With the building selected, we make sure, there my mouse disappeared again, we make sure that we have the building selected in there. We go to properties, and here, we go to gizmo, and here we can rotate it. If you grab the green line and just grab it and drag it, you can rotate it. Likewise, you can also just put it in a number. I want it at 90 degrees, or I want that at negative 90 degrees. Okay, so that just kind of rotates that thing around. So you could place that and turn that around all you like. Another thing you can do is you can scale it. So for example, if that building is too small for you, you can just simply scale it. Put the check mark in here and scale and say, I want that twice the size. Did I not get that selected? I may not have selected the building. I thought I had. Let me go back here again, and let's just, I clicked on snap. That's the building selected. Yes, let's just make sure that I actually have it. Yes, I do. Gizmo, scale. Oh, I'm typing that in the wrong place, guys. Sorry about that. Scale. And now you got a very large building. The issue that I take with this, and each to their own, but the issue I take with this is it scales it in all three axes, right? So it scales it in the width and in the length, which is good, but it also scales it in the height. And so the building kind of looks a little awkward to my eye. Like you want to have a 20-foot hangar, and let's say your default thing is 20 feet, but it's not quite wide enough or not quite long enough. I'd like to be able to scale it in the X and in the Y axis, but not the Z. The Z is the up and down for those that don't know those axes. But anyways, but you could do this. You could just drag in, you know, assets from here, and eventually you could build an airport. And this is the way I used to build airports all the time. Those that have watched my earlier videos, you will see just that. However, I also now actually create my own actual content and say, no, I want to make it myself. I don't want to drag in some generic building and put that in place. I don't want that. Okay, let's get rid of that building. Let's put the building in there that I actually want to have in there. Before I go any further, I should talk about this ever so slightly. So when you create this airport, right now the area which the airport is created in, it is created within a 2,000 meter area. You see that right there? And so if I were to go out there, you can see that blue circle that kind of goes all the way around the airport. And that's, you know, default, but you can change that, and we're going to change that to 250, and we're going to see that circle come really small like. We're going to click on that, and now we're going to move that. Oops, we're not going to move it like that. We're going to go 250, and we're going to go back to there. I want to move that airport. Translate. There it is. Click on translate. Be mindful of those things when it wasn't working the way it was. If you don't see these arrows, that's because you're in a different mode, right? You need to be in translate under the gizmo. So we're going to move that kind of over there-ish, like so. And so now, if I go to properties, that is the area in which the airport is actually going to be in. And I'm going to click on flatten because I want the airport to be flattened in this area. I can see there's a weird anomaly here. I don't know if that's just the way, might be just the way it is. It's weird. Another thing too, don't get too terribly distracted by some of these things, because what you're actually seeing is not necessarily always indicative of what is actually there. So just be mindful of that. And I'll show you how to kind of get around that later on as we go through the process. But I want to put a star on this airport. Now, I put stars on my airports all the time so that they're easy for me to see them in the big world. This is a personal choice, but you don't need to do that. But that's what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm not going to spend much time going through a lot of these things because this isn't really about the intricate parts of it. This is just get an airport, put some self-made assets in, put it in a sim, go fly there and look at it and go, hoo-ah, looks nice. Okay, so back to here. We have our area in which we're going to use the airport. We're going to add a self-made asset. We're going to put that there, and that's going to be my terminal building. Now, the way we do that is we click over here. We click onto this. We click over here to the inspector. Oh, I got distracted with that. This was the editor, and this is the inspector. Okay. So down here we see we have one asset group, which is this right here. We're going to add two more asset groups. We're going to add a model lib group, and we're going to add a material lib group. And I'll explain what those are later on as we go through the process. But so we click on asset group, custom. We click on next. We click on here. We scroll down and we look for model lib. I always keep the same naming convention, so model lib, and I'm not sure if you have to, but I do, and it seems to work out quite well for me. If you notice here, This is where we are creating the airport, right? And if you notice in here, we have a scenery folder, but that's all we have here. You're going to see that change momentarily once I do this. I hit create. The model lib asset group is there now. And when we go into here and we go into package sources, scenery, the airport, we have a model lib directory. Okay? And that's the directory that you put your assets into, your hangars, terminals, flags, whatever you make, that's the directory you put them into. Okay? So let's go back and create the next one, which is the material lib. New asset group, custom, next, drop down, look for material lib, right there, type in material lib. I hope I got that right. I do. Create. And just like we did before, we look at our airport packages. That's created here. Now, I want you to see these assets are now here. But if I click on scenery, you can see that the asset where we're working out of is here. Okay, that's where we're working out of. Okay, and we'll go into here, we'll see the rest of it. But this is the folder that we're working out of. This is the folder that is created for all of the finished product, the product that you're going to actually put into your simulator when you're done. And we're going to get closer to that, and you're going to see the package in its entirety here shortly. Okay, so we've got that all set up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on editor. I'm going to click on save, so I can save the package, even though I understand there's nothing really here. And I'm going to go back to project editor, and I'm going to click on build all projects. Now I do this here so I have a baseline to start from. Should things get foobarred, which happens, you can always go back to this baseline, and this is the baseline. What's important here is none of the gibberish that you see up here. Don't worry about any of that stuff. What is important is look for this line: finished, 2 skipped, 6 done, and 0 failed. Your numbers will be different. You do not want anything in the failure column. Okay? Which is typically going to be up here. Now, sometimes the failures can be there and the thing will still work. But ideally, you don't want failures. If you have them, research them, fix them. Okay? And some of that can be things like bad materials, bad assets, bad geometry, and so on and so forth. There's a host of reasons for it, which I haven't figured out all of them. Okay. Our next step is we have created these asset groups. We need to put the assets within those asset groups. Okay? So we're going to do that here. We're going to go to here. Let me just make sure I'm on the right one. Yeah, I'm on the right one. We're going to go to here in the model lib. This is where we're going to put the stuff. And the stuff that we have is just conveniently in this folder. Yours folder structure will be different where you save it. Save your Blender files and your exports and all that too, but I happen to have it here. So if I go to package sources, I go to scenery, I go to the airport, I go to the model lib. This is all of the stuff that I have. I'm not going to put this all in. I'm only going to put the terminal and the textures in there for now. Now, when I do this, wait, let me put that back. When I do this, paste. It's important to understand that we're doing this live. It might be better for you to do this out of the sim and then reload the sim back up and reload the package in, and now all those things are there. I do this on a fairly regular basis, and sometimes the sim crashes when I do it this way. But we'll hope that it's not going to this time crash. It's filtering and sorting stuff out is what it's doing. And I'm hopeful it won't crash. But if it does, I'll skip the video through and we'll get back to this area. And then we'll just know that we should be careful in how we put this stuff in. Microsoft 2020 was more was better with this stuff. It allowed the assets to be loaded this way, and it wasn't as finicky. This seems to be a little more finicky. I'm sure the STK group will grow in its entirety and get better. Okay, so I know that it's there because I'm able to do this. You do nothing else. After you loaded that new asset in, the very first thing you want to do is build the project. You want to rebuild the project. Rebuilding the project tells the SDK and the project, hey, those are new assets, and I need to have them loaded in. And this is now actually loaded in. So we see finished, 67, skipped, 3 done, blah, blah, blah. Okay? And that's because it knows that model lib is there and all those different files are there. I believe that's what it is. So if I go here and I close this off and I go to Scenery Editor, and then I go to Objects, if I type in the search window, CKK7, because that's the name of it, not Y7, and you see there it is. And there's the terminal that we added. So the more assets you put in, this is where you're going to find these, okay? So now I just want to one place click it, and I want to click on this, and I want to put that in there somewhere and say, okay, I've got it. Then I want to click here, and I want to click this off, and I want that one place clicking gone. Then I want to scroll in, and I want to align and place and move this around, okay? So how do we do that? We go to here. I can just simply say, no, I want that to be -90. I think that'll get us the right orientation. It does. Move the arrow, and Bob's your uncle, as it were. And there it is. So the asset is in there. We can see it. You can see that I've created this asset with some hardwood floors in there and some more hardwood floors in there, and so forth and so on. We could create an apron in here and get rid of some of this snow and that kind of stuff. And we're going to do a little bit of that. We're not going to do too much of it, but we will do some of it, just so you can see how that works. And then you can, you can transpose that into your own airport. Okay. So we want to use materials that are here. So first, that's the first thing. So let's just speculate here a moment. We're going to create a apron, or basically a concrete pad that this building is going to sit on top of. Okay? So if we click on Objects and we click on Scenery and we click on Apron and we click on Default and we go one touch place and add, if you look at your cursor, you got a little round red circle. That little round red circle is similar to the little square, little cross that we had before. Okay? So we're going to go here, and this function's kind of the same. Hold the control key down. I'm just going to generally outline the building. You'll be able to fine tune this a little bit more as you want. And my last one will just be a double click. There it is. Okay, so now we see that we have concrete, and this is default, this material. Just like we did with the other one, let's remove that check mark out. Just like we did with the polygon, we can move it around and we can manipulate this and do all kinds of fancy manipulation and changing, line things up, make things square, and all these wonderful things. I'm going to pull this one out. I'll try not to be too OCD about this, but I am a little. Okay, so you get the point. You can manipulate that, and that's the idea. I want to change that material. I don't like that material, so we can change that material by clicking on Properties. We can look down here, and this is the material editor, again brought up by there ish, I think. Could be up here, material editor. Yeah, material editor is there. But this is the default materials, okay? If I type in here and I go, say, apron, that's apron, and I'm looking in these are all of the different apron materials that are available to me based on what I've searched the criteria for, okay? So let's put this on. Sorry for the mic on, mic off, the clicking sound. I have a bit of a cold. I don't know why, but I do. But let's say that's the material I want to use. Okay, that's what it looks like. Let's go look and see that one, see how that works. So if you click and hold that and drag that up to here, or I believe if you have it highlighted and click on here, it brings it in. So there it is. That's pretty weird. Let's bring that one in. There we go. That's good enough. So you can see now that material has been changed. It's been added in. We have it. It's there. Life is good. Okay. The terminal, we can, if we click on here with it highlighted or selected there, if we remove this check mark snap to ground, we can now manipulate and move that around, right? We can lower it, raise it, we can lower it, raise it, okay? Be mindful of as you move that around, you can see there's grass here. Now, and there's a way to get that fixed. I'm going to spend a lot of time with that, but suffice us to say, if you raise that apron up a little bit, if you flatten the ground a little bit, do a little bit more cosmetic work before you put down these assets and all this stuff, you can fix that. I have videos that explain that as well, so but I won't spend a lot of time with that because I'm going to try to keep this video as short as I can. So now we're going to look at materials, the materials in which we have that we want to put in here and be able to utilize. Okay, it's a very similar function as we did with the other one. We know that in our package that we're creating, we were here in the model lib. If we go back out to the beginning of the package ish, click on package sources, there's the model lib and all the material lib. All the materials are going to reside in here. Okay, now if you look at the materials themselves, let me get to where I know I need to be. There. So these are the actual textures of the material. However, we have to create that in. We have to create the asset using the textures in. So we're going to do that. I'm going to show you how we do that. If we go down here, this area right here, and we hit select, we see that we have this because it knows that material lib that was there, and we say select. So now we're in that, but we have no textures there. You see that? So we're going to put a couple textures in there, and then we're going to create a texture item or a material item. So I'm going to copy over this apron material right here, for example. This apron material, you notice that CKK7 apron 001, it encompasses this document and this document. Okay, so those are the two documents that I'm going to move over into a textures folder. I'm going to right click that. I'm going to go copy. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to create a textures folder similar to that naming convention up there. So new folder, capital TEXTUER. It's texture or textures, texture. Okay, click in there, and I'm going to paste those two textures, those two texture files in there. Okay. So that's put those two in here. We have the textures in place. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go here and we're going to build the package again so that the package knows those textures reside and exist in the material lib folder. No errors. You can see that. No errors, right? 3 is done, but no errors. We're going to clear it. We're going to close it. So now we are in the model lib directory right there. You see it? If I were to do that again and click on this and go there again, in theory, if I type in CKK7, I should find that in here somewhere. I don't. Isn't that interesting? Let me get rid of that. Let me apply. Let me do this again, maybe one more time. This is one of the finicky things that I find about this as we're doing this. It's really finicky. Like it's Yeah, it's really finicky. Let me save, and I'm going to rebuild the package one more time. No errors, that's good. I should be seeing that come up here somewhere, I think. What is it called? It's called something AirPort. Simple. So I don't have that in there. Yeah, that is the problem that we have. Well, let us go here. Let's go new. Editor. Load a texture. Let's load that texture in. Apply and see. We're going to give it a name. New material. CKK7. What was that? 001. Apron. Apron 001. Apply, save, apply, and I guess, oh, there it is. It popped up. Okay, so I've done that backwards. There. That's what I was looking for. I actually had to create that. So let me kind of preface this so that you understand where the issue was. Because I've already created these in my previous tutorial, I would just move these over and it would show up. But because in this case I'm recreating this, they don't show up. If I back out of here, it's there. That's the new one that I just created. Okay, so now I can take that texture and I can assign it to, did I rotate that building? I must have. That's weird. Let me go find out why that building is rotated. No, I guess that is the rotation. Anyways, okay. So click on the apron under properties. There it is. There is the newly created material. Drag it or have it highlighted. Double click. It should be in there now. Now we're seeing this material being overrid by snow, I get, or is that just what the material looks like? That might be what the material looks like. That may very well be possible. Let's put a different texture in there, something that has something very specific, like that one, for example. I want to save that one. I'm over here looking at this one here, 19.2K. So 19.2K, 19, concrete 19. So this one is a much bigger texture file. It has much different. You can really get carried away with texture files and add things like roughness and depth and stuff like that. And that's one of these texture files that we're looking at. But we're going to put this one in next. So we're going to go copy. And we're going to go back into our ModelLib folder, into our textures folder. We're going to paste that in. And we're going to take a naming convention of this right there. And we're going to go copy. Just so I have this for later on. You'll see why I have that there. But there we go. Now, again, we're going to click on File, New. Paste that name in there. Call that apron. Okay. Load the texture right here. If you load this one in, you see you get that round, and it will reflect that here. So just be mindful of which one you put in. I believe the one we actually need is this one. And there it is. Save, apply, save, whatever, however you do that. There we go. Now we have this new material added in, and it's as simple as doing this again. There. I think the weather is also affecting this, as you would expect it to. You would expect snow on the ground. So let's get rid of some of that snow. I guess it's actually in the ground ever so slightly too. But you can see it kind of bleeding through. Yeah, it's in the ground ever so slightly. Anyways, so that's how you. This is how you add textures. Or materials. This is how you add your self-created assets. You've seen how you add in SDK assets. Now it's a matter of creating the assets that you want and or finding assets that you want that is excuse me, that is defaultly set up in here. Okay. The other thing that you can do is under sim objects. This is a whole new category of various different sim objects that are in here. And feel free to browse through and find it. I find the naming conventions maybe not as intuitive, but for example, if I wanted to put down a 172, oops, I've typed that in the wrong spot. 172. I want to put an aircraft down on the ground. There it is. That's the aircraft. I'm going to put that aircraft on the ground, and I've got it. And I'm going to place that there. I'm going to put another one there. Okay. And so you can do this. 58. There's a Baron 58. Let's use this one, and let's put you kind of one add right here. Oop. So. Well, I've put a couple down, but anyways, you get the point. So you can go through this. Down here is windsocks, runways, and the like. So let's say if we wanted a runway, and I know this is going to be runway 36. Let's go over here to where the runway would exist, which is right here. So I'm going to be 36. I'm gonna add, and there's the runway. Okay. Let's put that right there somewhere, and then let's take this off. Take that check mark off. We got a couple of runways, so we're going to get rid of them here. We only need one. Let's get rid of that one. So there's the runway. Just like we did with everything else, we can move it using these lines or these lines. In the properties window, we can come in there and we can adjust that. Okay, so if we go here, we can configure the runway length. Let's call that 1,500 meters. Let's call that 30 meter wide. Excuse me. And you can let me move this down the line here. That cold is driving me nuts. Okay. So there it is. You size the runway as you size it, right? Obviously, I've sized it larger than it should be. But that's the runway. That's how you can create a runway. You can go to the runway start points. And so if you don't put runway start points, you're going to start right here in the center. So if we want the primary runway start point, we can drag this down the runway length to the other end of it. That's where the runway, if you spawn on that on the primary, that's where you're going to spawn, and you're going to be facing down the runway. Okay, and we do the same thing. Oops. And we do the same thing for the other runway. Spawn in. If you get these turned around and you move the wrong ones, put the primary here and the secondary over there, it's no big deal. If you go to the gizmo and you go to rotate, you can actually rotate that starting facing position using this, and likewise you can rotate that using the heading here as well. Okay, so don't worry about the orientation of that arrow. If it's wrong for you, that's how you fix it. So taxiways are done the same ish, right? You go here, you go to taxiway, somewhere's in here is taxiways, taxiway path and taxiway point. Now, it's important to see the difference between these. A point, if you have 2 points, then you create a path between those 2 points, okay? So for example, I'm going to start my taxiway No, I'm not going to use a hold short. I'm going to go normal. Click on that. You see the little blue dot that is there? So I'm going to click one there. You don't need the control key for this. I'm going to click one there. And I'm going to click one there. Okay? And they are pathed already. But if they weren't, if there wasn't a path in there, I could create a path using the taxiway path right here. Okay. Close that off. Objects. Now I got to go find where that is again. I'll go objects. Okay, there we go. So the other thing is I could have put a whole short here, and I should have. Okay. So how do you do that? Well, you change this. So instead of me just going click, 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 I should have, at this position, I should have changed it and said hold short. So I'm going to show you how I would do that the right way now. Okay. And rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to get. I guess I got to get over there. They need to fix that. And I'm going to get rid of that point. Okay, so now let's start again. We're in the taxiway points. We're going to click one place touch. And we're going to put a taxiway point right there. That's a normal one. Then I'm going to go here. I'm going to click on hold short, because that's the next one that I want. Notice the dot color has changed. So I'm going to go hold short. You see that? Then I'm going to go back to normal. And then I'm going to put another one here and go. Okay, so there we go. Now, these are all linked. I'm gonna remove the check mark out of here. So when I go to the properties window, if I click on that line, this is the properties for this line. Okay, not for the other line that is there. And I apologize. This is the material being used, and let's use this material, shall we? So we're going to click on this. No, we're going to use this material. And then we're going to double click on the material here, and we're going to change that. And there it is. And we're going to click on this material, on that line as well. And because we still got that highlighted, we're going to double click on here. And now we've changed it. And that's what that material has been changed to. We can go to the runway. So now we're on the runway. And material right there. Again, this is still highlighted. Double click. And now the runway looks at. Now you're looking at that material going, geez, that looks, pardon the expression, pretty goofy. Well, you're right, it does. We're going to fix that. Point, not point. I want a path. That's the first path. So what we're going to do with that material is we're going to adjust it. Okay. And so when we adjust that material, we can. We're going to adjust that. Now, where is that thing? Well, we're going to put a center line in, so it shows our center line. Oh no, we have to adjust the texture. If this was an apron, we can adjust that texture. Here we cannot adjust the texture. The texture is what it is. There is a scale here. I thought I had seen that in here just the same, but I don't see it. Anyways, again, this isn't really about the exact textures. You have to pick the textures that you actually want for your airport the way you want it to look. But what we will do here is we will adjust the width of this, okay? And we do that right here. We're going to change the width of this. We don't want it to be 30 meters anymore. We want it to be, say, 20 meters. That's a decent width for this. And we'll do this here as well. And if I just keep on clicking, we'll eventually get that one highlighted. And we're going to change that one to, we're going to change that one to 20. You can now put in, look at this corner. Whoops. Properties. So look at this corner that's here. It's kind of, you see how it's kind of janky looking? Well, and that's because if we click on this, if we move this around, you'll see that that will straighten itself up. That will fix itself eventually. But what is it that we need to do to make that kind of go get that correct? The other thing is I could have put this hold short here and then made this kind of sweep into there. Now let's make sure that I've got both these at the same 20 meter. I got them both at the same. Myself personally, I think it has to do with the orientation of this hold short, where that hold short is. If that hold short was straight, you see how that is now? That's gone away. So really that hold short should be maybe back here on the straight line and then loop it. So let's attempt to edit this. Select this line, right click, split the path. That gives us another path. We're going to take this, we're going to go into our properties, we're going to change that to a normal and get rid of that. Then we're going to take this and we're going to drag this over this way-ish, and we're going to make this point out that way. See how that kind of fixed that a little bit? So that's one way of getting that kind of fixed. And there's other ways to do it. But you can see now we have a taxiway leading onto our runway, and our runway is away we go. You can edit, and my other tutorial is transferable here in this instance, but you can edit this. You can put markings down, end marking or edge markings, threshold markings. You can put in lights right there. You can put a center line light in. You can put an edge light on. It's kind of weird that it's doing that. I mean, it is a little buggy. There's no doubt about this. This is a little buggy, but so you can put on approach lights. There's a whole host of things here you can do. My previous videos kind of go through this in more detail, but that's not what I'm attempting to do. I will likely do another iteration of this. Or continuation, not iteration. That'll show us putting other assets in here and so forth and so on. But our video has gotten 52 minutes. That's long enough for the first go at it. I hope this has been helpful. Raymond for Stream Gamers. Like, comment, subscribe, all those wonderful things. Please do so. Let me know what you want to see next, if there is anything. But yeah, share it with your friends. Let everybody know this is, if you want to create assets, this is how you do it. I have a library of, as I said at the beginning, I think I have a library of tutorials and how to use Blender, how to get it set up, how to get it installed. I'll have to update that as well because there's a new exporter for 2024, and from what I understand, the 2020 exporter won't work. So I'll probably release a update video on that as well. But yeah, now this hanger has, if we go up to here, just one final note, we go up to here and we change the daytime to nighttime. It's hard to see it, but there is lights on that hanger, okay? And those lights exist now, and the reason why I'm showing you this is that the previous exporter, if you kept the lights at a certain intensity, they were really bright. So now in this, they're really dim, so they will have to be adjusted accordingly. Okay, and I suspect that exporter, the new exporter, probably helps with that, along with other things as well. Let's go back here and let's take a little bit of a look at our project and what we're doing. So this is our project. This is what we've done up to this point. We've got a runway, we've got a taxiway, we've got a hold short. We could put a windsock down. Let's quickly do that as we finish up our video. Anyway, no, we're not. So that's it. Raymond Stream Gamers. Please like, comment, subscribe. We're on our way to 500 subscribers. I want to get there. I'd like to get to 500 subscribers before the end of the year. I think it's very doable. Appreciate all your viewership and all your likes and all your comments. No comment is too silly to post. No comment is too extensive to ask. If you need help with stuff like this, put it in the comment section. We'll hook up. There is a Discord channel. We'll get together. We'll go over it as much as I can. I try very hard to kind of answer every comment out there. So far, I've been able to still do that. I'm very thankful that I can still do that, and I will continue to comment and respond to everybody's comments. Have fun, enjoy life, don't sweat the little things. The little things will look after themselves. The big things, do something about them. And if you can't, then you can't, and don't worry about them, because you can't. 9 times out of 10 you can. So yeah, have fun, be kind. Absolutely imperative, be kind. That to me is really important, as those that follow my videos will know. All right, that's enough of that. Until the next one, if you want to see a continuation of this, comment in the comment section, and we'll continue to grow this and get it completed, to see what it looks like if we were to complete it and show you what the complete project might look like. Right, enough rambling. You guys have yourself a wonderful day, and we'll talk on the next one. Bye-bye.